Alright, horror hounds, and welcome to an episode of This Just In. Today we're going to be going over VHS 99. Just released this past Friday on Shudder. You can check it on there and watch it, and come back and do the review if you'd like, or you can just hear my take on it. This is the fifth VHS movie, if I am correct, and what they are is an anthology series where they have a bunch of shorts all in one. And usually there's an overall story that's tying them together. So the first story is Shredding. Shredding is about a band who wants to go to this underground place where they had heard another band played years ago and they were trampled to death. And they got some plans to go down there and find the ghosts or do their own little video while down there. And the one kid seems to be very spooked by this whole theory and thoughts. So they end up going down there. They're typical kids, super disrespectful, and the ghosts come back. This one I give as a mixed. It had some cool kills in it for what it was. And the overall idea wasn't terrible, but it's kind of been done a million times. Alright, the second one is called Suicide Bid. And this is about a girl who wants to be part of a sorority so bad. And for her to be part of it, she has to get put in a coffin overnight, underground. And that supposedly happened to some girl. And that girl, when they went to check on her, was never found again. Just disappeared. Supposedly you can hear her knocking. So she gets buried. They throw some dirt on her. And they do the knocking with a broom handle. Cops show up. The girls run off, leaving the girl in there. She wants to get out, but there's nobody around at that point. And then it starts raining. And the rain comes pouring in. And we end up seeing the ghost of the girl they had mentioned previously, and it's meh. It's very lackluster. There's not a whole lot of greatness to the design, the look, or anything. And then they go down to check on her, and she's not there. And we just cut to where all those girls that did that to her are now in coffins, and she's gonna send that girl to feed on them and whatnot. I gave this one as an out. It wasn't very good at all. The story sucked. The acting sucked. The design of the creature sucked. I felt like everything with this one was just shit. Right, the third one was called Ozzy's Dungeon. This is about a game show where these kids have to do this different games, and then they have this obstacle course at the end, and the one daughter's doing it at the end, and then the other kid pushes her, ends up snapping her leg. Very bloody. They keep showing it on rewind and forward over and over again. And then it cuts to the host of that show tied up in a basement, and the mom of that girl, and the dad, and that girl's much older now, all there, and they kind of put him through their own tortures and make him run their own little gauntlet type stuff. This one I thought was pretty good. It was going to be an in for me all the way until the ending where they go to meet Ozzy, who can grant the wish if the kid succeeds in time. And for him to save his own life with that family, he says he could still grant them a wish. So then he takes him back to meet Ozzy, which nobody's met before, which is some 700-pound woman on a table, pretty much butt naked. And then her stomach rips open, and this creature comes out with flashing lights and stuff and fries people's faces. It had like a really cool premise to it, and then it went for shocky out of nowhere. And that part I thought was trashy. So that would be a mix for me as well. Would have been an in, had they not tacked on that stupidity with Ozzy's wish granting at the very end. Alright, number 4 for me was Gawkers, which this one was the most, we're trying to make you think this is 1999, with the talk, the bands. They are too busy trying to find ways to sneak peek at girls, whether that's cameras trying to look up their dresses, or they send the one kid over to the neighbor around the house who they think is a very pretty girl, and they American Pie her by putting the webcam linked from her house to their house. so they can see her undressing and naked. But then when she takes off her hair, they see snakes come out. If she's Medusa, and then she kills them all. This one I put in the out as well. It was the most annoying cast of characters, and the neighbor across the street were just trying to stare at her. Now she's Medusa, and she has snakes in her hair, and she kills them all. I just thought this one was very boring. All right, and the last one was To Hell and Back, which is about them. These two guys are part of this crew where these girls are witches, and they're trying to use a body who's a vessel, this woman, to summon some demon up at the stroke of midnight because of Y2K. And somehow there's this demon that comes through, and they banish that demon back to hell, and she somehow sends those two back to hell. And then these two travel through what is supposed to be hell, and they fight their way back so that when they get pulled back in from hell, they think that it's the demon, and they kill them. This one had a very haunted housey vibe to it. It was kind of like turn, jump scare, or hey, look at that gross thing over there. It's kind of like walking through a haunted house or going through like a corn maze, not knowing where you're going, and then spook pops up. That's exactly what I thought when I watched that one, and I had just been to some of those, so I found this one to be very boring. There was some killing in it, but it wasn't spectacular, and even the visuals were meh. For that one, I would give that one an out as well. And then the overall arcing story that goes with this is they just have these random things with army men and somebody pretending to voices them. And sometimes they get killed and there's blood on the little plastic army men toys. You know, like the ones that you would have had as a kid in the 90s. It didn't tie in at all. It made no sense. And I felt like it was just very lazy cheapness. So overall, my thoughts on this movie was this was shitty. Overall, it just sucked. I wasn't a fan of it very much. There was one that I thought was entertaining, and then they kind of just cut its legs off right at the very end with the stupid ending they tacked onto it when they could have just went the tried and true direction of revenge torture. Would have been awesome. The shredding one was okay, but it had some missed opportunities in that one. But it was entertaining enough. The three of them were just complete shit. They were boring. They were stupid. So my overall rating on this movie is, I would give this like a 1.75. I don't remember the other VHS movies as much right now. Maybe I'll revisit them at a later date. I'm not going to at this time, but from my understanding of me watching the first three at least, I feel like this was the worst one I've seen so far. All right, if I can have you give me a like, put some comments down below. Maybe you've seen this, maybe you won't watch it. Subscribe if you're not already a member. Hit the notification bell so you can tell when the next one comes out. Don't forget, rest in peace.